Hello again. Today I'm going to do a tutorial quickly on how to make these little vintage tags with jump rings. Or you can use some other things that, I'll show you in a little bit. So to start off with it, I had purchased one of these books. They're raffle tickets. And they have these thin tickets in here. And let's just get this out. And I had glued them onto this brown cardstock because I wanted, this one's one that I'm going to glue. So I used some scrap paper, cardstock. Because this one I will glue somewhere, but you can use up your scraps this way. It's a great way to do, especially if you're going to glue them down. It won't matter what color this is on the other side. You can use them on your covers, tags, journal pages, what have you, to embellish them. But when I made these with the jump rings, I'm probably going to attach them to pages or make charms. And so, of course, I wanted the brown backing. It just makes it easier. It's less distressing for me. Now, these I had cut into strips, but you really wouldn't have to if you didn't want to. I did it that way just because of the way I glue, but the way I apply my glues, most people don't do it this way. I use a paintbrush because I just find that I personally just get a better application of it, a little more evenly, and I like things to be a little bit smoother. And I use the tacky glue, but you can use, your Elmer's glue. A glue stick would probably work also. Whatever you have, you could try using. I use this because I find that when I use a decoupage glue or the Elmer's, there's a lot more water content in it than what I really want. So I use this dollar store tacky glue. And then I just do that, and I tear them into strips. It's easier for me to put them down. Also, since I'm doing the glue this way, I'm only spreading a little bit at a time. And let me just wipe off my... So I just spread it evenly like that. Where my ruler is right now. I have a roller and I don't know what I did with it, so using my old driver's license that expired. We're gonna use that. When all else fails, you just find the next best thing to use. Okay, so then I ended up cutting them all out by hand. You can cut them maybe with your paper trimmers. I just did them by hand. I was fine with doing it by hand, to be honest. And then I ended up with a bunch of these. And then I used Walnut Stain by Holtz. You could use any distressing inks that you prefer. I also have this, let's see, ground espresso, and I have vintage photo, and I have several ones, but anything that's going to give you a distressed look. Can even do them in whatever other inks you want also. It doesn't have to be, the vintage brown look, so it's whatever, I guess, tickles your fancy. So I just distressed them, because there's a little bit of that blue, but you won't even see it once they're distressed. Just helped me cut them better. It's like a line cutting against the line. And I'm also gonna put these in my shop to sell finished. I'm also gonna make up a kit so that if you'd like to do them yourself, you can. And This is where the brown paper on the back is nice because, you know, it's just less inking for me. I distressed them a little bit. So that's what you end up with then. And then you can either use bulb pins, and the bulb pin, you know, just that. Could use, I have these brown safety pins, little ones. Could use that. And here's a jump ring. And I have these jump rings. I think this one might be, yeah, that one's a little smaller. This size is, I'm not sure if it's a 9mm, 8mm, but this is a good size too. You know, whatever you have, or whatever you prefer, you can use. Now, I did see this on another lady's video doing jewelry to separate the rings, and all the jewelry makers out there probably know this. I'm sorry, I need my other light so I can see where these separate. Okay, and what she did was she just put it on either side, and she just turned it, and it doesn't work real well for me a lot of the times. It did separate it there, but she basically pushed the right side, she brought it forward to her, and the other side away. And then it separates them that way instead of pulling them to the left and right. You want to go back and forth. I thought that was a great tutorial on that. And then, you know, you can put, slide it on and then close it back up. Now, I'm going to close it with my finger. I found I just use the right one, and I just take my thumb and I do it like that because it's just is easy for me. The other way, it slips out of my hands sometimes. Now, I did use one of these punches with to make the smaller hole rather than a circle paper punch. And then let me put my jump ring on there. Maybe. It's harder doing this on a video. Oh, I had it. There we go. Now grab it again. Yeah, it's definitely easier when you're off camera to do stuff. So, and then I just squeeze them back together. Like I said, I kind of need, I have another light here, and when it gets to the evening hours, a little more difficult to see. So now, like I said, you can use, you know, there's these brown safety pins, the bulb pins. That's another option rather than the messing with the jump rings. And you know, it's whatever, you know, I just like the way those looked. I thought they were kind of neat looking, so I went with those. And I think I remembered everything to tell you. To put the hole, that was one thing that I did want to mention. Some people, they don't have this type of hole punch. So if you have a piercing tool, like I have this Tim Holtz piercing tool or this all, I also have a, if you have like some of those big needles, a lot of us will bind our journals with it. So if you have this one doesn't, you know, it's kind of thicker, but you could use a needle like that. Just don't poke your finger when you're trying to poke through it. Maybe put it on like a pad underneath of some sort. Or I'm sure there's something in your kitchen that perhaps you could use. This does not create as large of a hole as, wrong side, as the paper punch does. But once again, you got to use what you have, you know. I mean, it's not bad. I just, like, it's easier, of course, with the other one. But it's not a, I don't have, let me punch one to compare here. Wrong way. crooked. That's okay. All right, so you can see the difference that the holes, it's not bad. You could still get, you know, the little jump rings and things through it. So just use whatever you have on hand. And before you know it, you'll have a whole bunch of them like this, and then they'll look like this. So, you know, it's amazing that, you know, when I looked at these the first time, I was like, there's got to be something I can do with them. And I was like, kind of ugly, you know, the thin paper. But then I thought, you know what? I kind of have an idea of what I want to do. Well, a year later, here they are. Just took me a while to get to it, but I'm really pleased with the way they turned out, and I hope you like them too. And like I said, if you would if you didn't want to make them, you could always buy them out of my shop. I will be listing them soon. I haven't put them out just quite yet. Or if you would, or maybe I did. Maybe I did. I think I did put them out last night. Sorry. Or if you want to make them yourself, but don't want to buy, you know, some people don't want to invest in a whole book of these. So I'm going to do a kit. Now that isn't in the shop yet. I'm going to try to get that done here within a day or two. And then you can buy the kit, and then you'll be able to make them yourself. Alrighty. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you liked my tutorial, and have a great evening. Bye-bye now.